Some trucks are cheap because they are worn out, abused, or one repair away from ruining your week. But a few are cheap for a better reason. People simply do not want them. Wrong badge, old styling, too plain, too fleet-looking, not enough chrome, not enough status. That is where smart buyers find real value. Today we are looking at 5 used trucks that do not get the same attention as the famous long hood icons, but with the right engine, records, and inspection, they can keep working long after newer, more expensive rigs are waiting on sensors, emissions parts, or dealer diagnostics. This is not about buying junk because it is cheap. It is about knowing which forgotten workhorses still have strong bones. So if you like used truck value, real reliability talk, and honest buying logic, subscribe to Smart Buy Motors. This is where overlooked machines get judged by what they can do, not by how many people take pictures of them. Number 5, the Sterling A9500. The Sterling A9500 is the kind of truck most buyers walk past before they even think about the drivetrain. The badge is gone, the brand disappeared, and to a lot of people, that instantly makes it feel risky. But that is also why it can be such an interesting cheap buy. Sterling was part of the Daimler truck family, and the A9500 was not some strange orphan built from mystery parts. In many cases, the mechanical side is close enough to familiar Freightliner-era hardware that a good one is not nearly as scary as the name suggests. What makes the A9500 work is its no-nonsense attitude. It was built for fleets, regional haulers, and people who cared more about getting the job done than polishing the bumper. Depending on the spec, you can find them with respected engines from Caterpillar, Detroit, or Cummins, often paired with manual transmissions many truck mechanics understand. That matters, because the cheapest truck is not the one with the lowest asking price. It is the one that does not turn every repair into a treasure hunt. The reason it lands at number 5 is simple. The value is real, but you have to buy carefully. Sterling-specific cab pieces, trim parts, and certain body items can be more annoying than parts for a common Freightliner Columbia or FLD. A neglected A9500 can still become a headache if the wiring, cab mounts, frame, air system, or previous repairs are ugly. You do not buy one because it is cheap. You buy one because it is clean, documented, and mechanically honest. But when the right A9500 shows up, it can be a very smart working truck. It has a conventional layout, solid service access, and the kind of simple personality newer trucks often lost. It does not have the prestige of a Peterbilt, the cult following of an old Kenworth, or even a living brand behind it. But that lack of hype is exactly why the price can make sense. For someone who wants a tough truck and does not care about truck stop approval, the Sterling A9500 is one of those forgotten rigs that can still earn its keep quietly. Number 4, the International 9400i. The International 9400i is almost the perfect example of a truck that became invisible because it looks too normal. It is not dramatic, flashy, or tied to the big owner-operator fantasy. It looks like a serious fleet tractor, and for many buyers, that is exactly the problem. But if you are buying with your head instead of your ego, the 9400i deserves attention. This truck came from a time when International still built a straightforward road tractor. The cab is familiar, the hood is conventional, the layout is easy to understand, and the right specs can be genuinely durable. Many examples were ordered with engines that still carry respect in the used market, including Detroit, Caterpillar, or Cummins options, depending on year and configuration. So, you're not just buying an International badge, you're buying the actual spec sitting in front of you. The 9400i also benefits from mechanic familiarity. These trucks were common enough that plenty of shops have seen them, worked on them, and know their weak points. That does not make every truck good, but it does reduce the fear factor. If the drivetrain is right, the maintenance history is solid, and the frame is clean, the 9400i can be much more truck than its price suggests. Its biggest weakness is reputation by association. Some buyers hear international and immediately think of later emissions era problems, especially the max force years that damaged the brand badly. But that is not a fair way to judge an older 9400i with a proven engine. The smart move is to separate the model, the year, the engine, and the actual condition. A clean truck from the right era should not be punished for issues that belong to a different generation. On the road, the 9400i feels like a tool, not a luxury lounge, not a rolling museum piece, not a chrome festival. A tool. It can handle regional work, highway hauling, farm use, and budget owner-operator duty. People ignore it because it does not feel special. But special can be expensive, and expensive does not always mean tougher. A well-kept 9400i is the type of truck that reminds you boring can be profitable. Number 3, the first-generation Volvo VNL. The first-generation Volvo VNL is probably the most misunderstood truck on this list. Some drivers love it because it is comfortable, quiet, and practical. Other buyers dismiss it because it does not look like the classic American highway dream. It has a sloped hood, a smoother shape, and a cab designed more around the driver than around nostalgia. That makes it less desirable to the chrome crowd, but very interesting to anyone who cares about real miles. The older VNL was built for long-haul efficiency and driver comfort. A rough, loud, poorly designed truck wears people down. A comfortable truck can keep a driver fresher and make long days feel less punishing. Volvo understood that earlier than many traditional buyers wanted to admit. The VNL was not trying to be the toughest-looking truck in the lot. It was trying to be a better place to spend a working day. Mechanically, the older VNL can be a good buy, but it demands homework. Some came with Volvo's own D12 engine, while others had different options depending on year and spec. The D12 can be solid when maintained correctly, but it is not the kind of engine you buy blindly from somebody with no records and a suspicious smile. Electrical issues, cooling neglect, and poor repairs can make any cheap Volvo expensive fast. The right one, however, can deliver a lot of truck for the money, and that is where the value is. Older VNLs often depreciate harder than comparable Peterbilt or Kenworth models because they do not carry the same emotional premium. They are common, practical, and not romantic. But common and practical are not insults in the used truck world. They mean there are parts, experience, and real-world knowledge around the platform. The warning is fair. Volvos can be less forgiving if neglected, and not every small shop loves them the way they love an old Freightliner with a Series 60. You want service records, clean wiring, no strange warning lights, and no hacked repairs. But if you find the right first-generation VNL, it is one of the smartest, overlooked buys out there. It proves that a truck does not need to look old school to survive old school work. Number 2, the Mack CH613. The Mack CH613 is not cheap because it is weak. It is cheap because it is not always what modern buyers think they want. It is a little too rugged, a little too compact, a little too work-focused, and not nearly as glamorous as the big long hood trucks that dominate dream lists. But if the goal is a used truck built to take abuse and keep earning, the CH613 is a strong name here. This truck has the kind of personality modern trucks often try to fake with styling. The CH613 did not need fake toughness. It had real toughness baked into the way it was used. You saw these trucks in regional hauling, construction support, tanker duty, dump work, and rough fleet service. They were not pampered. They were expected to work hard and come back the next day. A lot of the respect comes from Mack Power, especially the E7 engine family in many examples. The E7 is not some mythical engine that never breaks, but it has a strong reputation when maintained properly. Mack's own driveline combinations also gave these trucks a very integrated feel. They were not always as universal as a Cummins Neaton setup, but old Mack people often respect the way these trucks were put together. The CH613 is not the most comfortable truck here. The cab is smaller than many long-haul drivers want today, the interior can feel dated, and the ride may remind you that this thing was born for work, not spa treatment. But that is part of the appeal. There is less softness here and more purpose. For regional routes, vocational jobs, farm support, construction-related hauling, or local freight, it can be an incredibly honest machine. The reason it is overlooked is that it sits between worlds. It is not new enough for fleets chasing warranties and fuel economy. It is not glamorous enough for buyers chasing classic long hood image. And it is not spacious enough for drivers who want a modern condo sleeper. That leaves it in a value gap, and smart buyers love value gaps. Still, you need to be careful. Some CH613s lived brutal lives. You want to inspect the frame, suspension, cab mounts, drivetrain, fifth wheel area, air system, and signs of overloading or rough vocational abuse. Mack-specific parts and repairs can cost more, and not every shop is equally comfortable with them. But a good CH613 is a serious truck. It has that stubborn old Mack feel, the kind that makes people say, that thing will still be working when half the newer trucks are waiting on a laptop. Number 1. The Freightliner FLD120. The Freightliner FLD120 takes the number 1 spot because it is one of the best cheap truck formulas. Simple, common, proven, repairable, and respected by people who care more about uptime than image. It is not the most beautiful truck on the road. It is not the fanciest. It will not give you the same parking lot pride as a polished 379. But if the question is, which cheap, overlooked truck can keep working while newer rigs are buried in complexity, the FLD120 is hard to beat. The FLD's biggest advantage is that it was everywhere. Fleets used them. Owner-operators used them. Mechanics worked on them. Parts suppliers stocked for them. That matters more than most buyers realize. A rare truck can feel special until every repair becomes a scavenger hunt. The FLD is the opposite. Its strength is not mystery. Its strength is familiarity. The right FLD120, especially one with a proven drivetrain like a Detroit Series 60 in the right years and specs, can be an outstanding used buy. The Series 60 earned its reputation through real-world service, strong parts support, and mechanic familiarity. Add a manual transmission and a conventional chassis, and it feels refreshingly understandable compared with many newer machines. It is not trying to be a rolling software platform. It is trying to move freight. The FLD also avoids the cool tax. Everybody knows the famous classic trucks, and famous usually means expensive. The FLD is respected, but it is not worshipped the same way. That keeps prices more grounded. For a buyer who wants work capability instead of a vanity purchase, that is a major advantage. You can put the money where it matters. Maintenance, tires, brakes, cooling, suspension, and making sure the truck is ready to earn. Of course, the FLD is not perfect. The interiors can feel cheap because many of them were built for fleets that cared about cost. Rattles, worn plastics, old seats, tired dashboards, and cab noise are part of the experience. Many examples have huge miles, and some were maintained just well enough to survive the next dispatch. Rust, air leaks, hacked wiring, poor cooling system care, and neglected drivetrains can ruin the whole deal. Condition matters more than the badge. But when you find a good one, the FLD120 makes a powerful argument. It offers old-school serviceability, strong drivetrain options, broad parts support, and a platform that a lot of shops understand. New trucks are quieter, safer, more efficient, and more comfortable. But when it comes to durability per dollar, a clean FLD120 can be brutally convincing. That is why it is number 1. The FLD120 is ordinary in the best possible way. Ordinary means known. Ordinary means repairable. Ordinary means there are still people who know exactly how to keep it alive. And in the used truck world, that can be worth more than chrome, status, or a fashionable badge. Cheap does not always mean bad, and unpopular does not always mean weak. The Sterling A9500, International 9400i, older Volvo VNL, Mack CH613, and Freightliner FLD120, all prove that the smartest truck in the yard is not always the one everybody wants. Buy the maintenance history, buy the right spec, inspect it like your paycheck depends on it, and ignore the hype when the numbers do not make sense. Subscribe to Smart Buy Motors because the best buys are usually hiding where the crowd is not looking.